Today I'm sharing the most valuable lessons I've learned over the past 2 decades of drumming. From the mistakes I made early on to practical tips that'll help you today. This video is packed with insights that'll help you take your drumming to the next level. So let's dive right in. Before we get into the top tips, let's talk about what happens if you skip the basics. I spent my first 5 years on the drums learning fancy techniques and trying to play fast. But here's why I should have just started with the basics. Now, when I first started drumming, I was all about learning fast blast beats and playing along to Avenged Sevenfold and like complex patterns and polyrhythms. And in fact, I even ignored the simple stuff because I just felt like it wasn't necessary. I thought maybe they're just too simple, but never realized how crucial and foundational they are to building a proper drum vocabulary. And so it wasn't until years after that I realized a lot of these rudiments and simple techniques are actually the backbone to every drummer's proficiency behind the drum kit. So here's what I recommend. Daily practice, if you can, along to a metronome. Now what you're going to do is play basic rock beats or rudiments. So we can start with the single stroke, just right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then of course you can move that around the kit, just right, left, right, left, right. Now, naturally, we're going to want to speed things up and just add more complexity. It's like us to just want to be able to do things right away, like this. The thing is we always need to be using a metronome. That way we can help internalize the time so that we can become great timekeepers and be sure that the timing is not affecting our playing. Now, once you have the basics down, of course, rudiments and rock patterns and things of that nature, of course, this next step is super crucial. Once you've got the basics down, I don't mean all 40 rudiments, but like paradiddles, singles, doubles, things like that, then this next part is super crucial in nailing down. Timing is everything. But you know what happens when you ignore your timing? This lesson took me a decade to learn. In my early years of drumming, I was obsessed with playing fast. Actually, during one gig, I noticed that my speed wasn't actually impressing the band because I was out of time and I made everybody else look awful. It was a harsh reality because it was ruining the music, and so that was a real reality of something that needed to be focused on. And from then on, I focused a lot of my time into working on my timing. To avoid the same mistakes that I had gone through, I suggest that you practice anything you're working on at a much slower pace before you start to increase the tempo. You can use things like backing tracks or metronome, or just have a creative melody in your mind that you can think of while you're playing patterns, which will help you develop a sense of creativity. The biggest takeaway with this is to record yourself, whether it's with a phone or a piece of software with some microphones, to listen back and watch to see whether or not you're actually making any mistakes, because the camera, of course, and the audio recording is much more honest than your ears. After nailing your timing and really locking it in with the metronome and practicing slowly, there's another skill that will actually set you even further apart. It's something that took me years to actually really understand and internalize. wonder why some drummers just sound alive and like they're full of energy with their drumming? It's all about dynamic control. In my earlier years, I just played everything at the same level. An experienced drummer actually pulled me aside and taught me about the power of dynamics. He told me that I should play loud and soft notes to create a more engaging sound rather than just sounding really rigid and loud all the time. So I would do things like this, practice a paradiddle around the kit with putting ghost notes on the left hand. Now that you know about dynamics, let's talk about something in drumming that makes it sound uniquely yours. Your style. So why blend in when you can just stand out? Here's how I found my drumming style. For years I played along to a lot of different metal tracks and whatever you want to call it. And for the longest time I was just mimicking a lot of these parts. So I would just learn it note for note, but I wasn't really doing anything for how I wanted to sound and how I could sound different in this vast world of drumming possibilities. It wasn't until I started mixing a few different genres to start incorporating it into my metal drumming so that I could stand out, so that I could have a bunch of different areas that would sound great together. Experiment with different genres and techniques with your drumming. Combine elements from other drummers, but start to add your own twist. Don't try and mimic it, but kind of think of what they're thinking and how they approach it and how you would change some subtle things to incorporate it into your own drumming and make it your own. The idea here is, of course, to listen to a bunch of different styles of music, not just metal, not just rock, but maybe Latin jazz or fusion or things of that nature. And ultimately, you're going to naturally want to gravitate to play along to various styles of music that you feel comfortable playing with. You've got the skills and the style, but there's one last piece of advice that is integral to my drumming career. Now, you'd think after 20 years that I knew everything. You're wrong. But that's why I still take lessons. You see, despite my experience, I still realized that I had so many blind spots in my drumming and my playing. And I knew that I couldn't figure a lot of this stuff out on my own because, again, even guys like Tiger Woods have a coach to help him with his golf swing. We simply just can't work on what we can't see. Now, even the best drummers in the world still take lessons and learn from other drummers who are better at specific things that they would like to improve at. So always seek new drumming opportunities, whether it's through videos like this or online courses or coaching programs. But what I implore you to do is to explore the possibilities to learn from drummers regardless of their level and their ability. This is important, and we also need to remember that it's okay to make mistakes because it's going to happen when we're actually practicing stuff and we're not just learning to maintain the stuff we already know how to do. We're always going to be making mistakes. It's all part of the process. So if you want to fast track your drumming journey, skip all this nonsense and get personal help with me in one-on-one coaching. I put the link for that down in the description below. You have to apply to see if it's even a possibility of working together, and I'd love to hear from you whether or not we work together or not. If you want to learn more about drumming, increase your double bass drumming, then just click this playlist right up here, and I'll see you there.